Hello there, Alberto. How you doing?
Hi, Ben. Very well, thanks. What about you?
I'm fantastic. Very happy to be here.
Fine as usual.
Exactly, having you here tonight. It's a fantastic thing. It's the last show before I have a 2 week holiday, which I'm very much looking forward to because
Whoa. Where are you going?
I'm not so far. I'm going down to Austria, so
Okay, that's cool.
close to Bregenz. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of rain, which is going to be fantastic. But I have no work computer. We can run around and expel some energy for the kids, the standard stuff. Yes, good.
Cool.
Before we get started, do you want to, this might sound a bit strange, but introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are? People have probably heard of you
Yeah.
before, but why not?
Ciao, friends, first of all. I'm
Classic.
Alberto Ferrari. I do all things about Power BI, Tabular, and specifically the DAX language. We wrote a lot of books, and we write articles, videos, trainings, and stuff, all related to the DAX language, which is, right now it's my passion. It's been my passion in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like to do trainings, I like to travel, I like to meet people,
Yeah.
and I mainly like to teach. That's something that I learned when I was so young, and I continue teaching. That's probably
Oh,
the
I
the
think
thing that I most like.
I would say there's very few people in the Power BI community that you haven't taught something to, at least I'm sure. I think it's one of those interesting things that when you start on your Power BI journey, there's a few people who are always there all the way through, and of course through dax.do and other websites and stuff. There's always a video to look at and something to learn. So it's quite cool to actually have someone there who's like, it's okay. So this person has this blog, and you can use this blog, and also look at their videos. So I think it's quite an
Yeah,
amazing thing that you do with all the teaching for sure.
that's what I was missing when we started, because nobody knew DAX at the very beginning. It was new. It was a
Yeah.
completely new language with nothing written. So we were basically provided with Power Pivot, and they say, okay, have fun. It was a nightmare.
So basically, it was like starting off as basically just doing documentation. Really, let's have this new tool. Let's see if we can write stuff down so we know how to use it.
Yeah, but actually there was no documentation, of course. So there were no training at all. We were shown the some demos, some examples how to write code, but there was not even the theory of that. So the entire idea of the row context, the filter context, and the syntax of DAX and how it works was not there.
Mm.
So it was a beautiful journey because we had to discover things. We had the privilege of being able to ask to the analysis services team. So that was extremely useful. Whenever you had a question, it was an email away. But yeah, we basically needed to create everything to find names,
Mm.
finding a name for the row context or for the filter context. The row context didn't have a name at the beginning. And I remember when I discovered that, oh, so it's not
Yeah.
only the filter context, there's something else. And it was so fun.
That's quite cool. Was it putting it in context of just looking around with it, playing with it, or actually just through business cases, kind of just exploring and understanding? How did that go? I can't imagine a situation where I don't have a plethora of websites to check or to Google something. How does that
Well,
work?
but we were working with multidimensional before, and I already told this story, so that basically means I'm getting older. But we just finished the book about a book about multidimensional. It was me,
Mm,
Mark, and Chris Webb,
okay. Wow.
and we went to a meeting in Seattle. There was this dinner during the past summit where the analysis services team and several consultants we meet together for a very informal dinner in which we talk about everything analysis services. Very open, there was no BS at all. It was just chatting and
Okay.
discussing technical details. And at that time, they shown us for the first time Power Pivot. It was shown at that past summit.
Wow.
And I totally remember seeing this piece of code saying, that's never going to work. You cannot expect regular users to start building business intelligence. It's just impossible. They don't know data modeling. They cannot learn the language. They don't
Mm.
have the background and everything that is needed. So I was totally contrary to the idea of Power Pivot at the beginning. That gives
Interesting.
you a clear picture of how good I am in predicting the future and knowing where the future will be. And during the dinner, they shown us, we were discussing Power Pivot, and they asked us to write a book about Power Pivot and the DAX language. But it was mainly about Power Pivot.
Mm.
Nobody was speaking about DAX at the time. And I just said no. We just finished the book. We didn't have time. I didn't want to enter that train.
Mm.
So we started writing on, how do you call that in English? The pieces of paper that you use to clean your mouth during dinner.
Like a
A
napkin.
napkin. A napkin, yeah. We started writing down on a napkin the reasons why Power Pivot would be a success. And I took Power Pivot, I took that napkin on the fly back home. I start playing with Power Pivot, and my goal was to destroy all those reasons, to prove in an undeniable way that that project would fail.
Wow.
And you know what? While playing with that on the plane already, I was confused. I say, that's cool. I mean, this is not
Mm.
just a simple tool. It's not just a toy. It's something.
Mm.
It's a lot more.
Mm.
And so we decided to learn. And while learning it, it was me and Marco talking. We said, what's the best way to learn something? When you teach or when you like to teach or you talk at conferences, you know that the best way to learn something is to teach it.
True.
Because the level of pressure that you have on yourself in entering all the details, if you need to teach, is much higher than if you just need to solve a project for a customer.
Mm.
The code doesn't just need to work. You really need to know the details because any kind of question can arrive during a speech.
Yeah, it's true.
And so we said, okay, so let's write a book about it. If we need to write a book, we will need to learn all the details.
Mm.
And we started that way. Without the proper knowledge, the first books were full of mistakes because we didn't know
Mm.
we didn't know the details enough. So we just wrote what we knew.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really
And
interesting.
that's how we started. We started playing with our pivot, and we needed to learn it to write a book because that was our way of learning the tool.
So in a way, it all kind of started with a napkin, right? That's just
Yeah, everything started with that napkin. That, by the way, is lost somewhere.
I was going to say you should
I would,
frame it, you know?
yeah, I would love to have that napkin because that actually changed completely
That's cool.
our career, the way what we do. We started with the book, and then after the book, we decided to start trainings. And SQL BI was born at that point. SQL BI was already there, but we didn't have a clear path.
Yeah. That's really interesting. You know, if you could find that napkin, you could probably auction it off in the Power BI community.
Yeah, the thing is, I guess after 12 years, it's nearly impossible to find it. I mean,
Yeah,
I cannot
it's
find
gone.
I cannot find what I placed somewhere yesterday night. So no way that after 10 years it's still there.
Well, I can imagine you've moved house maybe once since then, and I can vividly remember moving house and actually literally accidentally throwing away my passport. So I think in my house, a napkin would not survive that situation.
Yeah, totally.
Oh
Beside
man,
the house with two young kids, that's impossible to find anything there.
that's very true. You have kids as well, right?
I do. I have a boy and a girl, 13 and 10.
Okay, yeah, mine are coming up
Entering
a few years behind that.
a few years. How old are they?
My son is 5 and my daughter is 8. Um,
Okay.
my daughter's 8 and she's the one who speaks all the Italian. My son speaks the English, and so I'm terrified that she's gonna. I don't speak any Italian other than unfortunately the swear words, and I can say things like, you know, I woke up one morning and I walked into my front room, and I shouted at my dog. Now I apologize for the terrible pronunciation. Non mangiare la terra, because the dog
Okay.
always used to eat soil. You used to eat the plant soil from other plants. And my wife's like, how do you know how to say that sentence, but you don't speak any Italian? I was like, because you say it every single morning. So I'm just parroting what you say to me. So what I know how to say. So because I have kids, I learn all the animal names. And my wife is from Florence. So she has this really quite strong accent. So I don't say like Dominica, I
Yeah,
say like Dominica. When I speak, I have
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
accent.
They
So
in Florida they do not use the C. It's always like an H.
yeah, the classic hola hola.
Yeah, hola alta alta.
So- oh, very good.
So you married an
Yes.
Italian girl and you didn't learn Italian?
Don't get me started. Actually, yeah, I know. It's I'm not good at languages. It's hard enough for me to keep with my German, you know. So I mean, I studied French in school. I started to learn German, and all my French just disappeared. I know like maybe like 2 words, and so I keep saying I'm going to put the effort in, and I never do, and I feel a constant level of guilt about that. One day.
Okay.
I'm going to have a teenage daughter one day who's going to speak a language that I can't speak, so that's going to be a terrifying time for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can trust me. The moment they enter teenage,
Hmm.
that's when the problem really starts.
Yeah. I can well imagine. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
What's like? Here's a good Johnny. Here, what's your favorite English slang at the moment? I know you do like that's so. I always find that very impressive. By the way, you say you do like doing like. I think at one point you mentioned doing like an elocution lesson or something to how to. I've been very impressed by that. So, the question: what's your favorite slang at the moment?
Well, actually, I don't have many
Okay,
because the reason I like to learn words, but it's actually it's a longer story. Uh,
please. That's what we're here for.
we were speaking. Yeah, I mean we're here to talk about whatever, so that's fine.
right.
I was speaking. I'm still speaking, I guess, English with a very strong Italian accent. But up to a few years ago, it was much, much worse.
Okay.
Up to the point that we received a lot of comments and feedbacks during conferences or people watching videos that complain about our accent being so strong
That's
that it
harsh.
was hard to understand us,
Mm.
which makes sense. Being Italian, it's expected that I talk with an Italian accent, that's for sure.
That's fair. Yeah.
But when the accent starts to actually change the meaning of a word, or when people complain that they call Jaxa, where so Dax is actually Jaxa, and
That's it.
I wasn't able to understand the difference. So
Mm.
actually, people were making jokes about our accent, and I wasn't able to even understand what they were speaking about. So we decided to polish, to clean our accent, and we start taking lessons. That was
Wow.
both me and Marco since a couple of years, I guess, 2 or 3 years. Twice a week, we have chat with English people in order to clean the accent and remove the most obvious errors.
That's
And
impressive.
quite quickly, the girl who teaches us English said, "Okay, you will reach a point that." Uh, yeah, that's
That's
right.
fair, right?
So you will reach a point where you need to choose your accent because you can be American, you can be British, but you cannot be both. You cannot mix sentences in one accent with another because that's gonna disguise the people listening to you. Marco chose American because it's more international. And for no particular reason, just to do the opposite of Marco, I said, so I'll choose British.
That's class.
And I trust me, I totally felt in love with the idea of learning the pronunciation in English because it's totally insane. So there are no rules. You say a word in a way just because. That's it. There are no rules. The sounds you have, they are much more complex than Italian.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you might have the same letter in a lot of different places. And depending on the word, depending on where it happens, the sound is completely different.
Yeah. It's true.
And the only way you learn it is by memorizing them. I guess I always thought about it. If you see a word that you have never seen in your life, can you guess the correct pronunciation of that word or not?
I mean, in English,
In English, yes.
tends. Yeah, I think unless it's the name of a place, which can be quite different. If it's like a word, I think so. Yeah. But if it's a place, no. Flat.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if it's a word, you
Yeah.
you actually know how to pronounce it. Because to me,
I think I get a
the,
close
the
guess.
okay, that's good. To me, it's a nightmare. And so during the process of cleaning up my English, I I started to learn a lot of new words. Watching movies in English, watching
Mm,
everything in English, just to adapt my ears to the correct sound. And whenever I found a name or a word that looked nice, I
mm,
said, "That's a very beautiful word, and I need to use it somewhere."
mm.
So that's where shenanigans came from.
I
I started
that's the
talking about
word.
the Dutch shenanigans.
I love that so much. I was thinking of the word that I've always enjoyed that you said, and the first time I heard you say shenanigans, I loved it because it's such a good
Yeah,
word.
because I was watching Lucifer, the the
Yeah,
the series about the devil going to Earth,
yeah.
and they were always talking about the family shenanigans. And you heard it twice, three times. At some point, you say, "Okay, now I need to learn that word."
Yeah, yeah.
And then the game was to find a way to say that word in a video, because I had a list of words that I wanted to use. And I say,
Okay.
okay, where can I use it? And trust me, I planned entire videos just for a word, because I wanted to say that word. And I say, how can I do that?
I love that. To plan. That's an impressive amount of dedication. That's fun. I love that, especially the word
Yeah,
shenanigans. Just you can plan it with a video around the word shenanigans. See, I mispronounced it straight away. There you go. The
it's
game sh-
shenanigan,
shenanigans.
shenanigans.
I tell you what, I sometimes when I have this thing with my wife, this conversation, I'll say a word so often that I just forget myself. Like she has an issue with box and bucks, like bucks as in money, or box like a box, and she can't hear the difference between those two words. And sometimes we will just sit in there, box, bucks, box, bucks, and it just goes on. In the end, I think I drive myself crazy because I can't say it anymore.
But it's really hard. And I think English speaking people, they do not, Jones, I hate you.
Oh
English
man.
is crazy. It's not mental. It's impossible. Anyway, if you are English, you actually do not, you perceive sounds. You hear sounds in a very
Mm,
different way that Italians or French people or Spanish people do. So to me, the hardest part was not cleaning up the accent, but understanding what the accent meant.
mm,
When people say you have an Italian accent, I was completely, I don't know the English word for that, but I didn't know what they were telling me.
yeah,
Try,
I can understand.
to learn the difference between ducks and ducks took me ages. Provided that I said it correctly now, I don't know.
Mm,
Because people say, you say Daxa.
that's
Say, no, I say Daxa. And
yeah.
that's the same sound to me, that there were no
It's
differences.
yeah. It reminds me of like I've mentioned this before. When I worked as a flight attendant, I worked for EasyJet, and we press the buttons for the announcements on different languages. And the EasyJet one in Italian, it was always the end EasyJet. It's the
Yeah.
oh, is that the and I'll never forget that because it's all so pronounced. But this I actually do agree with Anthony. I mean, there are some English accents that, like where my dad lives, he lives in the southwest, for example. And if you go in the countryside there, I can't understand them like at all. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a different thing. Like if I go to Scotland, like a Glaswegian for me is not particularly a problem, but some accents are tough. So maybe they should also do what you do, kind of doing lessons and plan videos around a
Yeah,
certain
but
word.
yeah, but if I'm Italian and I need to learn English, I can choose an accent and try to adapt to that.
I
But if you
love
are
that.
Scottish and
Yeah.
you ask them to change their accent to be like the London one, I don't
Yeah.
think they would be very happy.
No, no, they definitely hit me for sure. Like I don't doubt
Yeah.
that whatsoever. It's like if I'm from the north, so someone said to me, like, actually, this is true. My wife said, "Oh, I much prefer the accent from down south London." It's like, don't say that to me. That's just upsetting. Where is the southwest best? So my dad he lives in like Dorchester, So like on the countryside ish around there. He used to live in a really actually my dad used to live in a really small town called now the word piddle in English means to have a pee, to go to the toilet. Piddle.
Okay.
My dad used to live in a town called Piddle Trentide on the River Piddle, and the local pub was called the Piddle Inn. And in that pub, you could order a pint of piddle. It was like something. It was like something from a child's book. It was ridiculous. Um, it was like the entire town was like a joke into itself, you know. So yeah, it's just languages, accent. It's always completely crazy, but it's good fun. It's good fun for sure. I
Yeah, small villages in the south, outside of London. I think there's such a difference between London, that is the experience most foreigners have
yeah.
about UK, and the small villages in the country. People are so incredibly different. I had to do a training in a small village quite far from London,
Okay,
and I
I'm
had to take a
interested.
car. And you can guess, you British people, you just drive the wrong way. So we had to learn. I had to go there, rent a car, start driving, and there was a very small hotel where I booked a room, and the check-in closed at 11 p.m. My flight probably landed at 10 p.m., so I had an hour to drive, scared as hell because everything was the opposite of what I was expecting. I reached the hotel at like 11 and 2 minutes, entered and start searching for the check-in, and there was nobody there. It was a pub, so everybody was there drinking beer and having fun, but there seemed to be no check-in available. So I asked, quite scared that I had a problem for the night, say, "Hey, I'm here to do the check-in. I'm a bit late." And the girl at the bar just looked at me and say, she was a very nice young girl. Look at me and say, "Yeah, you could, but I'm tired. I don't want to check you in. So came back tomorrow." It took me a while to understand that that was a joke.
Yeah, yeah, that
And
dry
people
kind
were
of thing.
so friendly, so
Mm,
calm
mm,
compared to the stressful life that Londonians have. There, everybody runs, everybody is in a hurry, looking at the phone and doing business all the time. Whereas the country is so much relaxing.
yeah. I think as I get older, I kind of more crave moving a bit out of a city center, moving to something a bit more. Actually, I think my dream is to live somewhere like Norway or somewhere where it's cold and I can be a bit more remote. Or I don't know, somewhere like Shetland Islands would be fantastic for me. I like cold, I like rain,
Okay.
and you can see how that would cause problems when trying to book a holiday with my Italian wife. Right? She's like, "Let's go somewhere hot." I'm like, "No." I'm like,
Yeah, I mean,
"I've got the world's
from the
palest skin.
Italian
I'll
point
die."
of view, vacation means, first of all, sea.
Yeah.
You need to have the sea. If there's no sea, that's not a vacation. It's
I love the sea. I'm from a coastal town. I grew up swimming in the sea. It was the North Sea in the northeast of England, and I also, it was extraordinarily cold. So if it's a very cold beach, I'm very happy with that, But
okay. That wouldn't be. I
uh,
totally understand, and I'm on your Italian wife side.
yeah, Alberto, you and I will never have a holiday together. It seems. I'm very sad about that, but I think it
Yeah.
just wouldn't work out. Oh man. Anyway, pushing through other points. I was just looking through you. I googled you, of course. I mean, I didn't have to Google you so much because I've seen a lot of your stuff before, and I discovered the existence of something that I've never seen before. SSAS Maestro. This is
Ooh,
yeah.
the SAS Maestro training. That
I've never
was
heard
at
of
the time
that.
of multidimension. Never heard. At the time of multidimensional, we're talking about like 15 years ago, I guess, something like that.
Okay.
There were trainings that Microsoft offered, and the highest level of training in analysis services was called the SAS Maestro. It was a training that lasted for 5 days with people from the analysis services team teaching us all the internals of analysis services. And it was a nightmare of a training. Really, you spent 5 days with slides, concepts, ideas, technical details being thrown at you all the time. you could try to defend and shield from them, but no way. They were keep coming and coming, and you had
Mm.
a lot of stuff to learn. And you also had to do exercises.
Mm.
And there was a final test that you had to pass after the 5 days in order to gain the title of SAS Maestro. They wanted to create the training and then start to sell it.
Mm.
And before doing that, they deliver 3, 4 different trainings, but maybe only 3. One was in the east, one was in London, and the other one probably in the US.
Mm.
And they offered us to attend the training because it was the first one. So we attended the training, we got the title without having to pay for that because it was like a beta test of
Yeah, okay.
the training.
Not bad.
Just to give you an idea of the complexity of that training, we had to pass the test at the end.
Mm.
So there was a test with questions and stuff. One of the tests was to produce a new white paper, at least 40 pages long, about some aspect of analysis services. So we had to write an article about something entirely new that we discovered about analysis services.
Whoa.
But that was not the hard part.
Oh, okay.
The hard part is that there were questions. And the training went too long, so there was not enough time to complete the test during the 5 days. So the teacher told us, that's not a problem. Bring it home with you. You can complete the test and send them back to us. And I started laughing like an Italian, say, come on, you're saying that I can do the test with Google available. That's not a test. It's just a matter of searching for the right answer. And, oh, Susan, I don't remember what my topic was. Probably something related to many. Anyway, when I went home with my list of questions, I'm Italian, so the first thing that I started to do was searching on Google for the answer to my question, just to discover that there were none.
Oh.
So the questions were so intricate that Google didn't know about that.
Wow.
And that's the reason why they were so confident in saying, yeah, go home. There's
Okay.
no problem. Either you know the answer, you find the answer, or you will not pass the test.
Do you think that would be possible today?
No, because after the beta test, actually the training was never available. I don't think they ever sold a single copy. At the time, you could be a sequel. I don't remember. There was a name, sequel master or sequel.
Okay.
The highest level. Did you try, Jeff?
It's good.
I mean,
No one ever did.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know how many people Bing. I typically Bing just to discover that I don't find what I seek, and then I Google for that.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Anyway, that training never started. It. I think the only SAS Maestro on the planet are the ones that took the beta test. And that's it. Then it was supposed to be really some sort of title that you can sell as a consultant, saying, "Hey, I'm a SAS Maestro," but that never happened.
Yeah, fair enough. So basically, that there are so few maestros in the world. You're one of the few. It's pretty cool. But in general, taking a test home and not being able to Google a question because there is nothing there, or it's so complex, all that sort of stuff. I just wonder if there could be how advanced would a test have to be now for there to be actual no answer if you Google it? Because there is a multitude of answers on so many different. I mean, of course, what I'm Googling is not particularly advanced if you look at that level that you're talking about. Like I always say, if you Google something, you're going to get the answer. For example, if I give a Power BI training, I'll always say, if you're learning Power BI for the first year, if you can Google something and you can't find a good answer to your question, I'll buy you like a case of beer or a case of whatever you drink, because it's just
because everybody talks about that. But keep in mind, the world of business intelligence deeply changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Before Power Pivot, it was a very small world with a few people, most of them very high-level consultants.
Mm.
because the technical barrier was very high. You needed to learn a lot of details to set up a good multidimensional cube and optimize it the right way. Power Pivot and then Power BI lowered the bar so much that is when a lot of people started to enter the world, and now Power BI is a star, and there are a lot of posts about that. If you seek for multidimensional stuff, you might find the answer, but it's going to be hard to read because it's very technical,
Mm.
and it's not target to newbie. It's target to people that are already expert about the
Mm.
topic.
Mm. Fair enough.
But you are right. Google finds a solution to anything,
Yeah.
which, being old, I think this is one of the major problems of students today. It's so easy to find the answer that you actually do not struggle in searching for it.
Mm.
And the only way to learn is to struggle, to have a problem that you need to solve.
It's really interesting that you say that, because I was just thinking yesterday, and it's just a random thought that popped into my head. One of the reasons that I love my job so much is that I'm always finding or searching for an answer to a problem. Yeah. So, like now, for example, I'm doing a lot of stuff with Deneb. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. And I'm getting to the point where I'm finding stuff where the documentation is good, but I have to kind of look through and then adapt an answer with another answer and then put them together to create the answer that I want. So I agree. I think to have a problem that you don't really know the answer to and to search for an answer is a very satisfying thing. It's kind of
It
helps your
is.
brain work a certain way.
It is, and it forces you to learn. I remember I was in Amsterdam once. There was a girl that had a performance problem with a Power BI file.
Mm.
So she showed me the file. There were several mistakes in it. We played with that. We fixed several problems. I explained them what I did. And then I gave her a link to a video that was an introduction to optimization.
Okay.
It was an hour-long video that, of course, just covered the basics, the basic details of optimization. But what surprised me is that when she saw the how to Google, yeah, when she showed the video, she said, "Oh, that's an hour-long video. I will never watch an hour-long video." I said, "I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, the maximum length of a video that I can watch is 5 minutes. 10 minutes is if I'm really, really interested in the topic. Otherwise, I skip it."
That's disconcerting.
The thing is that the work of this girl was,
Mm.
it contained a lot of mistakes that newbie
Mm.
do, but it was not bad.
Yeah.
So as a user, I would be happy with that report. It solved my problems. It
Yeah.
computed the values. Everything was fine.
Sure.
From the internals, it was horrible, but from the outside, it was just good.
Yeah.
And this girl didn't even think about attending a training, like attending 10 hours of training to learn something. Her goal was to search for write a question, get the answer, implement it to the customer without properly understand the details, hammer the code until it works, and then she was happy. And so the customer was. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't sound like she's a candidate for your tabular course, mate. I think if she can't do a 1 hour video, I think your the SQLBI tabular course might be a little bit too much for her as well. Because
Totally, that was a hell to record, and I'm so sad for the people that have to watch that kind of the quality
everyone
of
loves it.
content. It's insane.
I'm going through it. I've got to say, I started it at Christmas. I'm going through it slowly, but I'm getting there. I think I'm at 25% or something. So I'm taking a few
Whoa.
hours. Yeah, it's slow progress, but I put aside a certain number of hours each week. So no, it's certainly in depth. That's absolutely true. SEC Susan also is working her way through it as well. Everyone's working their way through it. It's good
Yeah.
stuff. Actually, to come on, bring it onto tools and that kind of stuff. Do you want to speak a bit about the Bravo for Power BI? This is quite a new thing that to just start looking at the past few
Yeah,
days.
that was nice. That's
This
actually
is
Marco's project. Marco knows everything about Bravo.
okay.
I stand a bit aside of it because I'm not a developer anymore. I'm not
Okay.
able to develop code. I mainly teach, write, and write DAX, but ask me to write code and do something more geeky, that's no longer my job. So I
Okay.
play with the user, the UI, and I play with
Mm,
that. The idea was to provide a tool that gives detailed information and simple operation, simple
mm,
uh, task for the average user. So it doesn't target professionals, it targets really basic users
mm.
and give them the ability to understand the space used in their columns, the quantity of RAM that is used in their model. Where
Stuff.
are they wasting space? Maybe there are unused columns, maybe there are columns that are
Mm,
that can be compressed better. So the first idea was to give a very quick idea about the size of the model.
yeah, it's a good idea.
Then my favorite feature is format all the code. So give me the option of clicking a button, format all the measures in a nice way so that we can actually read it.
Is it short line or long line?
I don't remember.
I haven't checked. Interesting.
That's important because I love long line, but
Yeah,
yeah, sometimes short line is better.
I'm
That
all
that
about
really
short.
depends on you like short.
I do like short. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Actually, I tell you what, it's developed because it might have been reactionary because I used to do something that you would probably want to choke me for when I first started working with Power BI. I used to write my DAX in like long sentences, like I didn't do
Okay.
anything at all. And then I thought, yeah, it's fine. It gets a job done. Who cares? So this one I was just starting, right? And then after like 6 months, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Because even I can't understand this anymore. I need to break it down. So then I think maybe I just started breaking it down as much as I could to get in. Like that's why I got short line. But I think short, long, it's all good as long as it's not how I used to do it, which is long sentences.
Yeah. And
Oh
then
man,
Marco started to think about features that were useful for most users and that could be developed in a simple way, so
yeah,
without too much complexity. Export to CSV or export to
that's cool.
Excel,
Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, it's something that I always wanted to do, and it's always hard if you have a Power BI file and you want to create.
unforgivable that we don't
Oh,
have something
yeah.
like Bravo. It's a fair point, I think.
Yeah, I think we do not want to open that jar because if we start to talk about what's unforgivable about Power BI,
Yeah.
we might be in trouble pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't want to tweet something else and start like a whole. This happened about 2 weeks ago. I tweeted something and then this conversation started, and then yeah, it went into it. But
Yeah, I know. Just to give you an idea, I remember, and I still have it somewhere. It was 2010
mm,
when Power Pivot entered the market. They created the user interface to create measures and DAX code in Excel,
hmm
and it was a text box,
okay,
exactly what it is today. So we still
yeah,
use a text box today.
yeah,
And I wrote to the team saying, come on, you cannot expect us to write DAX code in a text box. We need a better user interface. And that girl answered me with a sentence that says something like, we totally understand you, and we will never pretend that developers use a text box to write their DAX code. So expect in a very short term a full editor with powerful capabilities as you would expect from any developer tool from Microsoft. That was 12 years ago. And for a few years, every year I sent back to her
mm,
the email
mm,
saying 1 year passed, 2 years passed. After the sixth anniversary, I stopped because it was
yeah,
clearly a waste of time.
yeah,
But editing DAX is a really a pain in the neck. It's
yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, Power BI Editor now, fine, it works nice and straightforward, but to do it natively in Power BI, it's not so
no,
not
it's
so
it's
good.
just horrible.
Yeah. Just think, you have for SQL BI, you have all these tools. You got the Bravo, DAX Studio. I'm just reading off the screen here. Tabulate Editor, Vitapack Analyzer. This one I don't know. Analyze in Excel for Power BI Desktop. I didn't know that one, but it's on the website.
Okay.
Well, you don't have a Twitter account. Why is there no SQL BI Twitter account? I always try and at SQL BI, and I find no Twitter there.
Yeah, that's the first time I even think about that because Marco has his own account. I have my account. There's no official SQL BI account. And you might be right. We might ask Marco to create a SQL BI account. Even though, keep in mind, Marco does all the social media activity. I'm not a social guy.
Oh, okay.
I do not have. I just read Twitter from time to time. I retweet something or I like
Mm,
something. A few times I provide answers, but if you look at the number of tweets that I do, it's insanely low. And the same
that's
for
fair.
LinkedIn. Actually, I do not like to spend a lot of time on social.
Mm, fair. I think I
Yeah, just
kind of
because it's me.
yeah. I kind of like being in the Power BI bubble in Twitter. As soon as I step outside anything Power BI related from Twitter, I realize it's basically horrendous. But staying inside that group, it's quite okay. Maybe that's why I hate LinkedIn so much, because I post on it for, like, try and get links to my videos and stuff. But other than that, I'm not a fan of LinkedIn at all. It's just a whole mess of garbage that I'm really not interested in. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, if it's not data, it's boring. So,
if it's not data, it's boring. That's a t-shirt right there. Love it. Do you know what I just realized before, when we were talking about accents and learning words and stuff? That
yeah.
was the perfect opportunity for me to play you this clip from a couple of weeks ago where I spoke to Christian Wade. Oh no,
Okay.
he's still there. I spoke to Christian Wade, and Christian Wade was said he could do a very good Alberto Ferrari impression. Yeah,
I want to see that.
you can
Totally.
see it now. I thought we can watch it now. Quick, it's a very short clip, and you can give him like a mark out of 10. How does it sound?
Okay, sounds good.
Let's go for it. Clip's coming right now.
Here goes. You guys can tell me if you know who I'm talking about. Ciao friends. Welcome to another video from SQL BI. I am a business intelligence consultant, a DAX aficionado, and
I think. I mean, at least to call you an aficionado.
That was beautiful. Because his hands, he didn't say ciao, ciao friends.
Yeah,
I want to talk to you about business intelligence. I'm a business intelligence consultant.
yeah, fantastic,
Great.
right? When he started speaking, I thought you had appeared on my screen. To be honest, there you go. So, marks out of
That's
10. What do you
scary.
think?
Oh, that's a 10 for
It's a
sure.
10. Oh wow. Oh,
Absolutely. He was always using his hands, which
the
that's something I
gesticulation is
learned
very important.
talking that, I mean, Italians are probably one of the few cultures where we use our hands so much. We can have an entire chat just by using our hands.
It's a
You should
magical
know
thing.
that
I
because
do.
with
And
your
what I love
wife,
about it, yeah, she can tell me "let's go" from across the room without even talking. She does this thing,
yeah,
just like it's something like this. I can't show my friend. I kind of like this. I don't know, and it means like "let's go."
yeah,
Like, it's fantastic. So yeah, it's
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
like it's like a low key sign language somehow. Yeah.
I remember once I was in UK, I went to a restaurant, and of course, my food English is not that good. I know technical English because we talk about DAX and stuff, but when I read the menu of a restaurant, it's always hard to understand what I'm gonna eat.
I understand.
And among the many dishes, there was something that was pan fried. And I didn't know what pan fried meant. But there was another Italian there
Mm-hmm.
that was living in the UK. So he said, pan fried is this.
Mm.
And by this movement, I say, oh, I get it. This is what pan fried means. So basically, in Italian, we do have a gesture to say
Mm.
pan fried,
Yeah,
which is just
that's quite cool.
insane.
That is bizarre. I love it. Thinking about that, this is all back to the whole Italian culture type thing. There is actually a Twitter account, and I think it's called something along the lines of Italians Angry at Food. And I love it. And it reminds me, I was one, and because this passion that comes in Italians when they see it, Italian food cooked incorrectly or something. I was once in the cinema with my wife, and before the film started, to have all the adverts, and someone was making like the advert was something like spaghetti carbonara or something, and their advert they added cream, right? My wife just literally started like shouting at the screen about how that's not how you make that dish correctly. I'm like, all right. It was a marvelous moment, truly.
But in Italy, we do have rules about food that nobody teaches you. It's just they are part of our culture. And again, I learned that we are one of the few cultures that actually are so strong about rules. You can drink a cappuccino in the morning. You can drink a cappuccino up to 11 o'clock. But ordering a cappuccino in the bar at 12 o'clock is just weird. We never do that. When we see foreigners drinking a cappuccino after having lunch,
Yeah.
that's horrific. It's no, you can't. I mean, that's opposite to the rules. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
There are actually no good reason not to do that, except that we love rules. We hate rules, but when it comes to food, things are different.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
do have very strong rules.
My wife actually went back to Italy for a holiday to see her parents or whatever, and she ordered, I can't remember, she ordered a coffee at the wrong time of the day, and the waiter just wouldn't give it to her, and she just couldn't have
Yeah,
it.
you can.
She was like, "But I want it." She's like, "It's ridiculous. You're Italian. You can't order this now." So she just didn't get her coffee. She was so pissed off. It was pretty funny. But there's this comedy, 30 Rock. I'm not sure if you know this, with Tina Fey and I think Alec Baldwin, yeah. And there's this line in it that I love when it talks about, they're talking about rules. And Alec Baldwin, he says, there are no real rules. It's like an Italian airport. And I was like, that is,
That is so true.
yeah, having worked for EasyJet, working out of Italian airports, I was like, this is true. That is bang on accurate. So do I speak? I know I don't speak Italian. I'm when people ask me that question, I feel a deep, deep sense of shame. But yeah, one day maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm always learning something. I'm just quite tired. I'm learning my German, and then I'm learning, Power BI stuff, and then I'm learning. So I'm like, these are my excuses. You have to have a good list of excuses, and this is one of my.
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
one.
I know. He says I
It's
should.
good to have excuses.
Yeah, I should. I know. I I should feel ashamed. Oh, fantastic! I absolutely love it. Oh man. So I promised 45 minutes. It's gone a little bit over, for which I do apologize, but it's
No
such an
problem with
enjoyable
that.
chat. It's quite a relaxed chat, and I've enjoyed it very much. Whereabouts are you based, by the way, in Italy? Before I forget, is it
I live
Turin
in
or
a small
something?
village outside of Turin. Turin
Okay.
is northwest, just below France.
Yeah. Nice.
So it's north, like 100 kilometers from Milan on the west.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you'd made the move over to the US to be closer to Microsoft or something, but you're still firmly planted in
No,
Turin.
actually, I thought about a lot of time about moving away from Italy, but I mean, food is what is keeping me here. There's no, probably because I was born in Italy, but I cannot find any country where the food is just not even close to Italian.
I can understand that. When I visit Italy, what strikes me, I mean, the difference between Germany and Italy is quite big. I can't remember British food. I know we historically famously have bad food, though I think it has improved. If you go to Italy, just by eating the fruit, I think the fruit in Italy just tastes so good, and that alone, the taste of fruit would keep me in Italy, to be quite honest. So I can fully understand your reasons to stay there. That staying somewhere for
Yeah.
food is always a good reason.
Yeah, we are so lucky. I mean, that Italy, from a geographical point of view, is just a perfect place. It's in the middle of the sea at the right latitude. So
I got
it's
to.
from,
I would argue maybe Italian, Greek. I really like Greek food. Very nice.
yeah, Greek. But I would say all around the Mediterranean. So if you go in Spain, Greek, Italy, but also Turkey, all the area from all the geographical area, French too, which is around the Mediterranean Sea, that is where you actually can eat gorgeous food, which, as you said, is very simple. It's Italian cuisine is very poor. It's made from the country.
Yeah.
It's not elaborate. It's not complex. If you go to the northern countries like Sweden or Norway, Finland, they have fabulous food, but it's very elaborate. It's not simple food. It's very with a lot of different tastes and different ingredients put together to create a dish.
Yeah.
Whereas
sure.
in Italy, you just take something from the garden, you chop it, and you start eating.
Yeah. And that brings me on. The reason I've left this comment from Susan there is the tomatoes. I'll tell a story.
Right.
It's a brief story, I promise, but I really, really despise tomatoes. Like if they're on pizza cooked, like if they're in something cooked, it's fine. But to eat a tomato, like an apple or something, it makes me it makes me kind of physically sick. I really, really hate it. And my wife is all, yeah, but you haven't had Italian tomatoes and blah, blah, blah. So we went to Italy. She said, try this tomato. I want to eat it. I was like, no, it's disgusting. Went back the following year and we hired a camper van and we did like a trip around Toscana. Yeah. And we pull up this campsite and by kind of like a volcanic lake or something. And we went to this restaurant and the restaurant owner, who was also the chef, brought out something like olives, tomatoes, that sort of thing. And my wife, Barbara, again, she's like, try the tomatoes. I'm like, Barbara, I don't like tomatoes. I never like tomatoes. I'm not going to like it. Do you want me to try it to prove it? So I picked up this tomato, I put it in my mouth. It was amazing. It was so delicious. It's the only tomato I've ever enjoyed, and he grew them in his garden. So my wife told the waitress, and she brought out this like huge bag full of these tomatoes, and it was the only time in my life I've been sitting there just eating them like, this is so good. This is so good. That was it. So that's my strange tomato story. Yeah.
Rotten tomatoes. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you joining here today. It's a little bit of Dax we got involved in, but mostly Italian accents, that sort of stuff. So very nice chat. Very enjoyable.
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Everyone who got involved in the comments, everyone who joined us, thank you so much. There'll be nothing for the next 2 weeks because I'm off on holiday. But when we get back, there'll be something on that Thursday. So again, thank you for joining. Alberto, it's been a pleasure, and take care and good evening.
Enjoy Dax. Why not?
Enjoy Dax, exactly.
Enjoy Dax. Daxa.
Dax,